Yeah, let's just listen to this to get hyped up a little bit. Yo, should I freestyle real quick? Pause on this. This is what I have to do to get myself ready for videos now. Ooh, ho, ho, ha, 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 ha. I don't know, I just been listening to this little Super Mario World 64 rendition of this. It's just a warm up. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this.
I've been waiting on this my whole life. These dreams be waking me up
All
at
night. Hey. You say
You say I'm never wrong.
Hey, rest in peace to this Kanye. I don't know what the new one doing. I know what, maybe you're right. All right, let me stop before I get copyrighted. What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fattacheenie TV, Fattacheenie Reacts. I don't know what I'm gonna call this. I am really just gonna do a reaction video. I ain't got the suit on and everything, got the glasses, but just in my day-to-day coming back from work. And one of my subscribers, I'll show you right now. I don't know. I don't even know if you're a subscriber for real. Let me see. Oh, look at these comments, yo. I told everybody love Alana, yo. I love when Alana hop on some videos. But yeah, we got 42. One of my subscribers, what was it? I think it was the finale. They commented on the finale. And if you're not a subscriber, you getting real love right now. Everybody, shout out to the Fattacheenie fam. It's a new year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, y'all. I got a couple of new upgrades. I'll show y'all. There's one big upgrade that Alana got me that I'll show y'all at some point. So this is one upgrade. Got the little lapel mics. That's one of the great things that I made for the upgrade. But also, got some cocoa butter, but got a new keyboard, y'all. This is a Rocat gaming keyboard. Now, right now, it's not used up to its full capabilities, but I just needed a new keyboard. It was time for the upgrade. Working on some episodes right now. We know I got the mic. I also got a new wired headphone case, Logitech G300. Let me see if I can get that in there. 335. I like that. Don't like the microphone. I wish you could take it off because I don't really need a mic. Already got that last time. And then this is the best thing that anybody could have got me. And of course, wifey held it down, but there it is, y'all. Fattacheenie TV Glow. Woo, that joint bright. Don't do it justice, but this joint is fire, y'all. So that's some of the upgrades that we got. That'll be my little on-air button. When you know it's going down, you'll see the sign light up. But yeah, back to the regular scheduled video. I'll probably just put in the video now. That joint is so fire. Thank you, babe. Mwah, I love you. Okay, so I think it was this one. Shout out to everybody that's watched the finale. If you haven't watched the finale, you missing out. Let's just watch the intro real quick. Oh, okay. What's this one? All right, come on, get ready for this full screen. Get ready, bro. Just react to this. He got the Elden ring inside of him. I never know what's happening. What's he weak to? Okay, so this is Radagon of the Golden Order. Okay, said that right? Oh, gosh. Yo, when I tell you, I was so scared after that. He slapped the mess out of me. But yes, on this channel, on this video, what's his name? He is called Davis. What is it? Davis Lotta? Ayada?
Bruh.
Davis Ayada? I don't know. Huh? Davis Ayada said, wouldn't it be interesting to react to Elden Ring lore? And I commented, said, you pick the video and I'll do it. So Davis, shout out to the boy Dave, said, watch the video, The Lore Explained of Elden Ring by, I don't know how to say that word. Lore Explained by, we're gonna type in this name and we're gonna type in Elden Ring Lore Explained. Let's
Our
just
story
go with
doesn't
this.
begin in
Okay.
the lands
Oh, he about
between.
to put me to sleep.
It begins in the cosmos, far
Subscribe to
away,
Fattacheenie
with
TV.
an
Let me,
outer
before I say anything, listen. If you are a subscriber, you want me to react to something, listen, I'ma do it. Fattacheenie TV is for the fam. It's for all of us. If this is something that you want me to do, put it in the comments. I'm gonna do it. Anybody who comments no, you get rewarded for your comment. So David Sayada, I oughta love you right now. Oh
god
my gosh, that was
called
terrible.
the Greater
Okay, here we
Will.
go.
There are a lot of outer gods mentioned in Elden Ring. You can think of these
get ready.
kind of like the great ones of Bloodborne.
Who is
They're
that? Oh,
distant
okay.
beings. They're all powerful and they're quite unknowable by design.
Okay.
But many of these outer gods want to make their presence felt in the world. The Greater
Who
Will,
is
maybe
that?
most of all. To this end, it sent a golden star hurtling towards the lands between. The Elden Star's incantation tells us that this golden star was bearing a beast, an Elden beast. The Elden Remembrance calls it a vassal beast of the Greater Will. If you didn't know, a vassal is someone who holds land on behalf of their overlord. Obviously, this is fitting in this case, because the Elden Beast occupied the lands between on behalf of the Greater Will, and was a living incarnation of the concept of
I need
order.
an Elden Ring for
As
dummies.
such,
Yeah,
this-
I think you're supposed to pause when you do reaction videos. Listen, I need an Elden Ring for dummies. I don't even know what this brother's saying already. He says something about a star turned into the Elden Beast. I guess, okay.
beast would later become the Elden Ring.
He turned into
The Elden Ring
okay.
itself is made up of runes of power.
Okay.
Some great, some small, that together represent a sort of logic for the world to follow. Thus, the Elden Ring represents order. The true nature of this order is a subject
Who
of
is that?
constant debate and research undergone by fundamentalists. But two of the key fundamentals are the laws of causality and regression. You can think of the law of causality as cause and effect, where actions have consequences, and those consequences are new causes that branch out into infinity. These are the relationships between things. Then there's the law of regression that states that all things eternally yearn to converge and return to their roots.
Okay, so is that about all the people that we saw? Like my boy, I liked him, yeah. What was his name? I didn't want him to die. He was like, sir. And he wanted the little sewing needle. What's that boy's name? I don't know. But he wanted to go back to his original state. I don't know. Let me keep watching. I'm sorry, Ayada. Why Ayada? All right, I'm gonna stop.
Fittingly, then, the Elden
I'm
Ring
about to
is
lose
housed
subscribers
within the
after
Erd
this.
Tree, which towers over the lands between. But it's very important to stress that life in the lands between did not begin with the Erd Tree, the Elden Ring, or the Elden Beast.
Okay.
No, the lands between were occupied well before the Greater Will came. There were other beings here. There were other factions here. There were other gods here.
Shout out
and
to Sasuke.
there was even another great tree here before
What?
the Erd Tree. And this is where a huge twist regarding the Erd Tree comes in. So, there are incantations in the game called
what's good with
aspects
his
of the
belly?
Crucible. According to their descriptions, these are manifestations of the Erd Tree's primal vital energies. And I quote, "They are an aspect of the primordial crucible where all life was once blended together." But how could all life be blended together in the Erd Tree if the...
I'm getting more confused by watching this Elden Ring lore explain. I don't know this is what y'all want, because I can't even I don't even know what's going on. Let me stick
Erd
with
Tree
it. Let me stick
appeared
with it.
after life existed. Well, there can only be one answer, right? That the Erd Tree is a parasite, and it took over a tree that existed here before. This ancient tree was called the Great Tree. So the Great Tree was almost certainly the location of this primordial crucible, and it must have been a very
Crucible
powerful
Knights, I know
primordial
them.
force for the Greater Will to have commandeered. It might even be the reason the lands between is important to the Greater Will in the first place. It also explains why spells and enemies related to the Great Tree's crucible would eventually be looked down upon. For example, the knot talisman is fashioned from a knotted vestige of the crucible, and it was considered a signifier of the divine in ancient times, but is now increasingly disdained as an impurity as civilization has advanced. Enemies related to the crucible are the omen, the Misbegotten, and the Crucible Knights, and all three
they
of
are
them would be
related?
shunned, enslaved, or imprisoned. Those who speak for the Erd Tree don't want you to know its roots, so to speak.
Okay.
According to the spell, protection of the Erd Tree, in the beginning everything
used
was in
all them
opposition to the Erd
spells.
Tree,
The Erd
but through
Tree
countless
spells?
victories in war, it became the embodiment of order.
In Marika's own words, the
That's the
Erd
baby
Tree
girl.
governs all. The choice is thine. Become one with the
Thine
Order,
word.
or divest thyself of it. To wallow at the fringes, a powerless upstart.
But the Greater Will needed more than a big tree. It needed loyal agents in the lands between. To this end, it has the Two Fingers, who are its envoys. The Two Fingers heirloom has a weird picture of them,
I
but
use
it
that
reads,
joint.
"Of course, fingers cannot speak, yet these are eloquent. Persistently they wriggle, spelling out mysteries in the air. Thus did we gain the words of our faith." These words are interpreted by the finger readers. These are the undying old crones that you would have found
read
throughout the
your
lands between.
fingers.
They pass down the wisdom of the Two Fingers, or at least they used to.
Your fingers,
told you.
please, your fingers. I can read them.
Oh, okay.
Most of
I'm
them
about to say,
appear
what
to have
you
lost their
make me
purpose,
do with
and
these
they're
fingers,
desperate to
girl?
read your fingers and
Look at
tell you
her
annoying
leg and her
riddles,
toes.
since their two fingers are likely dead. And yes, of course, there are multiple sets of two fingers.
yeah.
You would have found their corpses on the tops of the divine towers. Atop these towers, you loot the fingers in order to activate the true power of a great rune. Specifically, though, you are giving benediction back to your great rune. You're taking a blessing back from the two dead fingers, essentially. This is just one of many blessings that the two fingers can bestow, and my point is kind of that the two fingers clearly
Ooh, that
have
the three
more than
fingers?
just influence. They have real power on some level. The Greater Will needs these powerful
fingers
envoys
look
and
like
agents
that, though?
because, while it's obviously incredibly powerful, it does seem limited by a few things. First is space. The Greater Will didn't come to the lands between itself, it sent an Elden beast to do its bidding instead. Second is time. There is a moment later in the game where your pair of two fingers go still because they're forced to commune with the Greater Will for guidance.
When
that
they are
happen in my
finished,
game?
the fingers will again offer their guidance. But thousands, if not tens of thousands, of moons must first pass. No matter for me,
Drink set.
but you. How will you ever manage to wait?
Them boys is
So the Greater
stuck,
Will
yo.
needs a physical
still
manifestation
don't-
of
this
order.
is not
It needs
helping.
envoys to convey its will, but what it also needs is a god. Introducing Marika the Eternal.
Okay, but why?
I have this
Okay, see, this
utterly
is what I need.
enormous
Break it
mind
down,
map
brother.
of
Break
Elden
it
Ring's
down.
lore,
Break it down.
and
This is how I need.
There's a reason she's at the center.
Lord.
She's essentially the equivalent of Gwyn from Dark Souls, except unlike Gwyn, Marika didn't just crawl out of the dark and find power.
So
to an
why
extent,
is she
it
a
seems
girl
like
at
she earned
first,
it.
then turned
We don't
into
know much about her
Radagon, brother?
origins, except that she is of the Newman race, which is actually an origin that you can choose in the character selection screen. Newman come from outside the lands
struggling.
between, and are supposed descendants of denizens of another world, long-lived but seldom born.
I never
At some
chose
point,
the race
Marika
system.
was chosen as an Empyrean. What is an Empyrean? Well, an Empyrean is a being chosen by the Fingers as a candidate for godhood. As an Empyrean, Marika received the aid of a shadow to do her bidding. So what is a
That's
shadow?
homie.
Well, it's a wolf, shadowbound to its Empyrean by the Two Fingers. Luna Princess Rani is another example of an Empyrean with a shadowbound beast. You would have
Okay,
met Blythe.
my boy Blythe.
These creatures are the Empyrean's very own shadow. They are completely loyal to their needs and,
Okay.
by definition, incapable of treachery. Marika's shadow
that's
was a
why it was
beast
black-
called Malakath.
Yeah, the Black
Every
Blade.
Empyrean uses their shadow in different ways, but Marika's sole need of her shadow was as a vessel to
He was
lock
the
away
coolest looking
destined death.
boss. I'm sorry.
So what is
I'm
destined
sorry, let me
death?
stop this. He was the coolest looking boss, hands down. He looked so fire.
Well, according to Enya, it's the rune of death.
The rune of death goes by two names. The other is destined death.
We mentioned
got the
earlier
death
that the Elden
runes.
Ring is made up of runes, and at some point, Maybe when she was chosen as a god, Marika plucked the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring. She gave the Rune of Death to Malekith, her totally loyal shadow, who bore a black blade imbued with this rune. It's kind of genius, really. In a single act, she removed the concept of death from the lands between, while also commanding total control of death through her shadow, who could deliver it at her whim.
So that's why when we touched it...
Some of you might be asking, if death is removed from the lands between, how come I can kill this dog? First off, shame on you. Second, from a lore point of view, that dog isn't really dead. It's simply in the process of its spirit, or its soul, returning to the Erd Tree. Catacomb dungeons, for example, are specifically constructed near the roots of the Great Tree for this reason, so that the Erd Tree can reabsorb their ashes back into it. This process replaced the concept of a death that you were destined to have. But this random spirit outside of a catacomb dungeon says it best.
Have patience until the time comes.
As another example of this theory, when you kill a major boss, you receive a remembrance of them.
Yes.
These are spirits, and they are hewn into the Erd Tree. In this way, thanks to the Erd Tree's grace, their spirits are immortalized, in a sense. This new form of death also explains what's happening when you summon spirits.
From ash and return to the Erd Tree.
Y'all know I
However, some spirits never return to the Erd Tree, and they rise within death as corpses or skeletons instead.
They're speaking in them tongues, y'all.
So this was the new order. And it's important to stress that it was in this moment, when the Rune of Death was removed, when Destined Death was taken, this is when Order became the Golden Order.
The forbidden shadow plucked from the Golden Order upon its creation.
Specifically, this was Marika's Golden Order. So not only did she become a god and a vessel for the Elden Ring, she became renowned as Marika the Eternal for her removal of Destined Death. It was a huge part of her character and her reign as well.
I'm learning.
However, Marika had more than just death to conquer. She had wars to fight.
Yes.
As the world was occupied by many forces that could threaten her Golden Order. There was war with the Storm Lord, who likely ruled over Stormvale. And there was a war with the Giants, who were masters of a flame that could burn the Erd Tree. There was war with the ancient dragons, who incidentally had stones that could twist time and thus slay a god. And finally, there was war brewing with the Carrion royalty, who had previously obeyed laws which contravened the Golden Order. Thus, sort of similar to how the Greater Will needed an Empyrean to enforce its will, Marika herself needed someone to wage war. So, there was to be a husband, a consort,
an
boy
Elden Godfrey.
Lord. The man chosen was Horalu, a ferocious warrior who became known as the Lord of the Battlefield. His crown was warranted with strength, and while it was for this strength that Marika married him, he was also required to take a vow to conduct himself as a lord. To suppress the ceaseless lust for battle that raged within, Horalu took the beast regent Sarosh upon his back. You'll notice this is another example of a beast being given for the purpose of serving order. Thus, in this moment, he went from being Horalu, warrior, to Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, consort to Queen Marika, and a certified demigod. Godfrey and Marika had 3 demigod children together. There was Godwyn the Golden, who you saw being killed in the opening trailer. And there were also the reviled Omen twins, Morgoth, who guards the Erd Tree, and Mohg, who became Lord of Blood. You might think that Godric was another demigod child, but he actually wasn't. Instead, he was probably descended from Godwyn. Anyway, we'll talk about the demigods more in detail in another video, so subscribe for that. But for now, just know that Godfrey and his offspring were the first demigods,
that's when I said he a bad
henceforth known
dad.
as the Golden Lineage.
Okay, what's more
In his wars, Godfrey led his 16 Crucible Knights into battle, who were named so for they fought with the primordial powers of the Erd Tree.
I see why you
Their
did
incantations
in the beginning,
were
sir.
aspects of the Crucible itself, and they likely fought giants, dragons, the Storm Lord, and more to usher in their age, the age of the Erd Tree.
In Marika's own words, hark, brave warriors. Hark, my Lord Godfrey,
Hark the
we
herald
commend your deeds.
angels
Guidance
sing.
hath delivered ye through each ordeal to the place ye stand. Put the giants to the sword and confine the flame atop the mount. Let a new epoch begin, an epoch glistening with life. Brandish the Elden ring for the age of the Erd Tree.
The Erd Tree would go on to be largely seen as a blessing for all of those in the lands between, especially those close to it in Leyndell, the capital city of the Erd Tree. The tree bestowed blessings. For example, the dew that dropped from its branches were like jewels. It loomed overhead as a constant reminder of order, and its roots reached far and wide, relieving many of the burden of death. In fact, Erd Tree burial was one of the highest honors a hero could receive. One by one, the previous factions of the world fell. The giants were put to the sword, and their fell god was killed by Marika herself. The ancient dragons broke down the walls of Leyndell, but met fierce retaliation. However, I think the House of the Erd Tree encountered the most trouble against the land to their southwest, Leonia. Here, the House of the Moon repelled their offensives time and time again. And I mean that literally, because there was not just one, but 2 wars fought here. And in both of these, there was no victory for the Golden, nor for the Moon. And I suspect it was probably because of these lobsters. These damn things can snipe you from like a mile away, and it's bullshit. Actually, it was probably because of the Carrier Knights, who, according to their weapons, were able to wield sorcerous battle skills, and despite numbering fewer than 20, this power made them a match for even the champions of gold in battle. These enchanted knights were anointed by the Lunar Queen, a young astrologer who went on to establish the House of Caria as royalty in this land. With her bewitching lunar magic, she won over the Academy of Raya Lucaria, where glintstone sorcery was studied, and united the Carian royal family and the learned scholars of Raya Lucaria defended their home from the golden aggressors. At the head of this great golden army was Radagon.
Lord Radagon was a great champion, possessed of flowing red locks. He came to these lands at the head of a great golden host when he met Lady Renala in battle.
These 2 champions clashed, fell in love, and joined their houses.
Radagon once cleansed himself with celestial dew,
but I thought
repented
Radagon
his territorial aggressions,
what's her name?
and swore his love to Renala. The order of the Erd Tree and the fate of the moon were conjoined, and all the wounds of war forgiven.
You might think it strange that the Greater Will would permit this union, but it's not too odd, all things considered. As with most From Software games, sorcery and faith are just 2 sides of the same coin, and both of these powers stem from the cosmos. Radagon and Renala were known to have 3 children together.
Who are they, babies?
Lunar Princess Rani, who inherited her mother's propensity for lunar magic, Radan, who took after his father Radagon and would go on to master gravitational magic, and Rykard, who pioneered new hex sorceries and would go on to feed himself to a great serpent. It follows that at some point after this, Marika began to harbor doubts. Doubts about the Golden Order that she had had a hand in creating.
In Marika's own words, I declare mine intent to search the depths of the Golden Order through understanding of the proper way. Our faith, our grace is increased.
Faith and grace.
Those blissful early days of blind belief are long past. My comrades, why must ye falter?
And it's at this point that we should talk about Marika's motivations, her character. This is surely going to be one of those huge points of debate in the coming years, but for now, my working theory is that she wanted to discover the truth behind order and the truth behind the greater will, and she believed that bonds had to be broken so that they could be better understood. She believed that there was great meaning to be found in hardship.
Queen Marika has high hopes for us, that we continue to struggle unto eternity.
For Lord Godfrey, his struggle ended at the end of his campaigns. According to his armor, he led the war against the giants, faced the Storm Lord alone, And then there came a moment when his last
Should
worthy
I be-
enemy fell.
oh no,
And it
now
was
I'm
then,
thinking about
as the
this.
story is told, that the
Well, I can do
hue
it
of
in
Lord Godfrey's
full
eyes
speed later.
faded. In truth, he was robbed of his grace. Then Marika sent him away.
My lord, and thy warriors, I divest each of thee of thy grace. With thine eyes dimmed, ye will be driven
Is
from
that
the lands
Coraloo?
between. Ye will wage war in a land afar, where ye will live and die.
This became known as the Long March of the Tarnished, as Godfrey and his tarnished descendants walked away from the lands between.
Okay.
But Queen Marika absolutely had a plan here, that Lord Godfrey and his descendants would one day return stronger, having struggled outside of grace.
Then, after thy death, I will give back what I once claimed, return to the lands between, wage war, and brandish the Elden Ring, grow strong in the face of death. Warriors of my lord, Lord Godfrey.
Okay.
Soon after, she found a new husband. Either that or a new husband was found for her.
When Godfrey, first Elden Lord,
See,
was
Pastor T
hounded
know
from the
everything.
lands between, Radagon left Renala to return to the Erdtree capital, becoming Queen Marika's second husband and king
Oh,
consort,
but he left
taking the
Renala.
title
That's what they
of
just
second
said.
Elden Lord.
Okay.
The mystery endures to this day as to why Lord Radagon would cast Lady Renala aside, and moreover,
It's that
why a mere
Millicapur,
champion would be chosen for the seat of Elden Lord.
Whatever the
She
case,
can't
as a part
die.
of this union, Radagon's prior 3 children with Renala became demigod stepchildren, granted
yeah,
grace thanks to their new family tree.
Yes.
Renala was broken by this, and so was her country,
Yeah, as she
Leonia.
should be.
The Queen's set reads, when Renala, head of both the Academy of Raya Lucaria and the Carian royal family, lost her husband Radagon, her heart went along with
Amen,
him.
girl.
And then those at the
boys ain't
Academy
loyal.
realized that Renala was no champion, after all. In the wake of Radagon's betrayal and Renala's poor judgment,
I hated
Leonia
them Burger
struggled
King
with civil
brothers,
war,
yo.
with the Academy of
outside
Raya
the door.
Lucaria on one side and the Carian royals on the other. And it's here, during the age of the Erd Tree, that Lunar Princess Rani, daughter of Renala and Radagon, stole a fragment of the Rune of Death.
It happened during the golden age of the Erd Tree, long before the shattering of the Elden Ring. Someone stole a fragment of the Rune of Death from Malekith, the Black Blade.
As mentioned previously,
Really?
Malekith was Marika's shadow,
Yes.
and he had sealed destined death in a black blade. Then a fragment, only a fragment, of this Rune of Death was
Is that why
stolen.
his sword a
And
little
once this
broke?
happened, Malekith went a step further in protecting destined death. He bound the blade within his own flesh, such that none might rob death ever again. It was too late, however. This fragment of the Rune of Death was used immediately, that night,
gave it to me.
kill a demigod, Marika's
Oh.
own son, Godwyn the Golden.
That was the first
Godwyn.
recorded death of a demigod in all history, and it became the catalyst. Soon, the Elden Ring was smashed, and thus sprang forth the war known as the Shattering.
Now, there is a lot of really
brother
credible
okay?
evidence that Marika was behind this plot to have a fragment of the Rune of Death stolen. There's also a ton of evidence that Marika is behind the entirety of your tarnished quest, but we'll talk about that in another video. For now,
Yeah, I ain't
all
got-
you really
I
need
ain't
to
got
know,
it.
in terms of the timeline at least, is this. After the marriage of Marika and Radagon, and after a fragment of the Rune of Death was stolen, Marika went on to shatter the Elden Ring, and Radagon
Okay.
attempted to repair it, to no avail. The Elden Ring had been broken into runes, some great,
That's what the
and some
hammer
small.
was used for,
No,
not to
it's said
destroy,
that Lord
but to
Radagon harbored a
build.
secret. A famed sculptor of the Erdtree capital was once summoned to render Lord Radagon's likeness in giant stature, when he glimpsed the skeleton in Radagon's closet.
Oh.
And as such, it's said the great statue harbors his secret too.
Of course, the huge twist in Elden Ring is that Radagon is Marika. Or depending on what you believe, he became her, for she knew it was going to happen.
In Marika's own words,
It's too
O
deep for me.
Radigan,
Hold on.
Leal Hound of the
So
Golden
they the
Order,
side, they the same.
thou art
They
yet to
connected.
become me.
The Bible
Thou art
says
yet to
he and
become
his
a
wife
god.
shall become one.
Let us
so
be
Radagon
shattered.
and Aquila
Both.
became one.
Mine other
Mekhala,
self.
Mekhala.
You can tell when From Software is keeping something a little bit open-ended, and of everything in Elden Ring's lore, this will also go on to be one of the biggest unknowns as we move forward. For example, the wording, thou art yet to become me, reinforces that Marika and Radagon were two separate entities before the shattering. However, in contrast, there is also evidence that Radagon was always part of Marika. For example, Enya says that
The demigods are each and all the direct offspring of Queen Marika.
but how can this be if Radagon married Renala and had those demigod children?
So
The only way that makes sense is if
she
Radagon
played
was
both
always
ways.
Marika and he just went over there to seduce Renala long ago. I'll present more concrete theories in the future, but on this
What you
matter,
got
the
right
most
now,
important
brother?
thing is, what do you think? While you can figure out a ton of Elden Ring's story, not all of it is open to interpretation. Certain things are, and this is one of them. And your interpretation is a big part of what makes this story special. At any rate, the union of Radagon and Marika seems to be a union of two fundamental opposing laws of the Golden Order. We mentioned these
Really?
laws earlier, actually. There's the law of causality, and Marika is an agent of cause and effect. And there's the law of regression, as Radagon is a character who aspires to be complete and regress together. So I have a theory that forcing these two beings that represent these concepts together would have corrected Marika's deviance. But even so, she was imprisoned in the Erd Tree for the crime of the Shattering.
Marika's trespass demanded a heavy sentence. But even in shackles, she remains a god and the vision's vessel.
The conjoined Radagon and Marika even had two demigod children of their own, Mikola and Millennia. These two children were born afflicted.
calling her the wrong name,
Mikola
it's
was
Marika.
cursed with eternal childhood, and Millennia harbored a horrific rot within. Even so, these
Where
two children
Mikola?
were both chosen as Empyreans. They were immensely sacred beings and eligible to inherit godhood from the Greater Will. Perhaps the Greater Will was just desperate to find a worthy successor, and indeed in the Shattering War to come, many would try to claim the shards of the Elden Ring, and they would try to take the throne, including, of course, the Tarnished, who returned from their long march at long last, which we'll talk about in the next main lore video. I should probably also mention here that if you become a patron, you'll see upcoming lore videos early, as
good,
that's one of the
brother.
rewards
Y'all
you
need
get
to go
if you pledge
support
to the
his
$3
channel,
tier.
though.
And if you think my channel really adds a lot of value to the Souls games for you, to
I
the point
appreciate
where
how much
you
work
pledge
you
$20,
put into this
then
video.
in this new tier, you'll receive a new mug every 3 months that has a
Dang.
unique design on
Y'all
it
think
to do with
about
the
being
games
one of his
by From
Patreon.
Software. There are 4 to collect. The first one you'll get is inspired by Dark
Y'all want
Souls,
some
then Elden
Fattacheenie
Ring,
TV
then
mugs?
Sekiro, and finally Bloodborne.
I ain't
They all
ready
have
for all this.
fantastic art that I worked on with an amazing artist named Chu. But anyway, I figured this is the right place to end this video because
Okay.
the information here is going to be overwhelming. I bet it probably
Yes.
was too overwhelming,
Thank
you know?
you.
It took me ages to commit these names and the relationships they had with other characters
on
to
now.
memory, so I hope you guys are doing all right. One thing that helped me a lot was that we designed an enormous mind map with pretty much all of Elden Ring's lore,
My
all
boy,
of its item descriptions, all
David
of its
Daniel
dialogues,
Iorda, what's
all
your
of the
name, brother?
relationships between characters that we can think of. We added all of this together, and
can't.
it helped a
can't.
ton in learning about the story and visualizing it all. And one day I will make this asset available to you all, because I think after doing it, I think this is the quintessential way to piece together the story.
After this is
and
over,
I
I'll
think
give you
giving
my
you guys
full
this asset
synopsis of
eventually
what I think.
will make that accessible for people. So I'm really excited about that. I want to thank Absa and
that was
Zard
me
for
when I
accepting
came
the paid
into
task of
to the
helping me
castle.
put all the raw data into this mind map so that I could better understand everything. I want to thank Paragod for fulfilling all of my footage requests and creating so many cinematic scenes for this video and for you all to enjoy.
got a lot of help, boo,
And
boo.
I last of all want to thank John Devlin for the incredible thumbnail. And of course, thank you for watching. There are some really exciting things ahead,
All right,
and
brother.
I actually believe this might be the best story that From Software have ever put together.
Oh,
I just
wow.
think not only are there so many
All right, brother,
amazing
we gonna
item
give you a
descriptions,
like.
but
We got
so many of them are
2.7
impactful.
million.
There are so many
You'll be all
moments
right.
where you piece together the
This video
story and
got 8
have like a
million
eureka
views.
moment. And
Go ahead, brother. So yeah, listen. Woo! I need a drink. Need some water or something. Okay, so here's my synopsis to my boy. He wanted me to watch another video, I think. If this video gets 20 likes, I'll react to it. Yeah, that drink got 20. If this video gets 20 likes, I'll do the other one he said. What did he say? David Sayada, what did he say? He said, and then, so watch the lore video explain, and then the video about the demigods explain. If you're more interested in lore, then watch the videos. They are very good, brother, but that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Okay, see, there it go. Now I got my boy. What's his name? Vattacheenie? Vattacheenie? I'm sorry what this means. Listen, y'all. So here we go. Baby girl that was given the Jesus pose, Merica. I think her name is Merica. She is the Elden Ring. She's the being of it. She was chosen. My boy said about cause and effect. All right, cool. She had too much time on her hands and became a god and controlled everything, and baby girl got bored. She got so bored that she turned herself into Radagon to create a war with herself. Now, before all that went down, the Crucible Knights and the Erd Tree or the Elden Tree, I don't know what it is. All that, before that, she won that war. She became queen of everything and was bored and was like, let me go make a villain or a opposite side of my coin. And then Radagon. And then Radagon was really her, but fell in love with mysterious side, the dark side of the moon. Fell in love with that pale girl. They had some babies because she tried to, oh gosh, I guess Renala, her magic combated with the faith, and for that they fell in love. Radagon and baby girl fell in love. Then after that, I guess my girl Mekala came back. She was like, nah, yo, hold on. I love myself too much. So then Radagon leaves. Baby girl with the moon goes back to Merica. Merica and Radagon have babies together, which is Mekala and Melania. But how you have sex with yourself?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
She asexual. And then this is, I don't even need to watch a turn. This is what happened. I came in there with my faith, said you doing too much. Came in there with the mimic tears, said, blah, 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 blah. Said you gotta go. You doing too much. You having sex with yourself. This is not good. You need some prayer and you need a word of God. And I came in there with my faith and my quick step. I was dodging everything. And then I don't know how the beast turned into the Elden Ring, turned into the beast. Radagon was trying to build the Elden Ring back after Merica broke it. So he was trying. He was like, I'm trying not to sin no more. I don't know. Listen, all I know is that was a great game. That was a great game. Elden Ring was a great game. I cannot wait for the DLC. I'll play it for y'all for sure. I'm not saying that I'm not going to play Elden Ring no more. But as you could tell, it's just too much, y'all. I see why this game was game of the year and why y'all was like, yo, you gotta play it. It's very deep. I probably would listen to some of this stuff as I go to bed and maybe learn a little bit more. But if this video gets 20 likes, I'll keep going. If y'all think it's funny or you like laughing at me not knowing what's going on and piecing together little by little, I'll do it. But y'all gotta get a likes. Shout out to my boy Davis Iota, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed that I keep saying that, but I'm gonna laugh at it in editing. If you got any comments, no matter what, if you comment, somebody just put more, let me show you. Greg Watkins just put, where that drink go? Back in my comments. He just put, hold up, I'm still learning. He said more Alana content. Alana content is my favorite content. It's just, she don't even watch half of my videos. She don't watch the Elden Ring stuff. She just want to play Mario and play some games. So that's why she my spice of life though. If you, whatever, all I'm trying to say, if you give more content, if you want more comments lead to content. How about that? Comments lead to content. If you put comments, I'm working on Tears of the Kingdom right now. That's behind the scenes. We're gonna finish this Mario joint. If you like it, cool. If you don't, just stick around. Don't give up on Fattacheenie TV. We got more and more subscribers. It's a new year. We got some new games coming out. I got some new ideas, maybe. I think this year is the year of consistency. I think I'm just gonna be consistent with my shorts, consistent with my videos, consistent with my upload, and we're gonna let God do the rest. I hope you have a blessed one. I will see you on the next one. Why I oughta thank you for the comment though. Appreciate you. And later.